Basically, these checkpoints are held primarily in the Latino community, targeting immigrants.
The advertising for it is that it is to control drunk driving.
Our checkpoints have anything to do with ICE, immigration status, or deportation.
Me pidió mis papeles. Lo primero que me dijo, tu licencia. No me dijo, te estoy deteniendo porque cometiste una infracción.
And they're more likely going to be stopping an immigrant. And if they don't have a driver's license, then the ultimate goal is to impound vehicles.
They can't pay their rent, can't buy food for their children.
So you can imagine when you have poor immigrants and they have to pay a ticket, and then they have to pay for the tow truck, and then their car gets impounded.
The sad thing about it is that they're making a lot of money from people that make very little money.
The funding should be there to fight crime, to fight anything bad that's going around. Instead, they're using it to suck people's money out from their pockets.
I see the checkpoints as part of an overall oppression of a group of people based on their nationality.
This is where we have officers checking with each driver to see if they have a license. Okay. When they make the contact with the driver, all they're asking for is a driver's license. And they're checking to see if they have been drinking and driving.
More than 99% of the people who are stopped and who lose their cars are driving sober. The reason that most of these people, the overwhelming majority of people, are losing their cars and going to court is because they have an immigration problem.
In cities like the city of Pomona, where you have over 60% Latino population and a large immigrant population, whether they like it or not, results in a form of stopping a particular group that tends to be the majority in that city.
Police are being paid overtime in these checkpoints. The other thing is that truck companies are making a lot of money.
Chief of police, then he was the interim chief of police, he said that it was a revenue driver for the city.
They are overstaffed, overmanned, not just in the number of police officers, but in the number of volunteers and cadets that they have, and reserve officers coming in. And you'll notice that people are just standing around, especially after they set up the checkpoint. They sit around. It's more like a joke time where they just shoot the bull. And this also happens during the checkpoint itself. It's a big waste of taxpayer dollars paying overtime, which is usually about $50 to $70 an hour per officer.
The money comes from what's called the Office of Traffic Safety. The purpose of the funding supposedly is to carry out DUI checks.
We talked to several of the people that got pulled over, either got citations or got their vehicle impounded. They told us their story of how they tried to turn away from the checkpoint, and a lot of times they would pull over somebody for saying, well, we thought that your door was open, or it didn't look like you had a seat belt on. But the real purpose was to see if they had a driver's license, and most of the time, you know, the people fit into their profile of an old vehicle, someone who was maybe dark-skinned.
A la esquina y el policía nos siguió por 3 bloques más, y hasta el tercero hizo sonar su sirena y me detuvo.
Le enseño yo la aseguranza, la licencia de mi país, no es válida la licencia de aquí, y lo único que me dice, no tienes licencia, entonces tú no tienes por qué estar manejando, así que bájate del carro, dame las llaves y vete caminando a tu casa. Vi con tristeza cómo llegó la grúa, se levantó mi carro y se lo llevó. Iban a pasar 3, 4 días. 50 pesos diarios eran 200, más 150 de la grúa eran $350.
just seeing the fact that the children, younger generation, can't look up to the police enforcement and police officers as a hero, because they see in their own community that they're taking away their parents' cars.
I remember particularly one family that I saw, and there was this young girl. She was about maybe 6 years old, and she was shivering in the night because her family had gone shopping for groceries, and they took her out of the car with the rest of her family, and she was there with her 4-year-old sister and a baby in a car seat out on the street.
Them riding with you, it's like, well, what's going on? What did you do wrong? Like, nothing. It's just something they do, like routinely, just to check. It's for people that are drunk, but if I don't have a driver's license, your car's taken away.
Le tenían miedo a la policía, ya nada más miraban un policía y hasta se ponían nerviosos, ¿verdad? Y esos retenes cerca de las escuelas, porque los niños estaban asustados, estaban preocupados porque la policía iba a venir a quitarles sus carros.
It's dark at 6 o'clock, and parents walking their children back and forth from school to their house because they're afraid to drive because they're afraid to get pulled over.
My husband, he had to do community service on this one, and I think he got 16 days, which was 16 Sundays, 4 months of the kids not waking up to seeing their dad Sunday mornings.
One thing that really struck a chord with me was how the city wasn't taking into account how devastating these practices were for its own economic outlook.
Because checkpoints are usually set up on the street, and it literally shuts down their businesses. And these happen to be primarily Latino businesses.
There is a whole bunch of car dealerships in Pomona, Ontario, or Hispanic populated, cities that the dealership or other businesses are getting affected by this, checkpoint.
And that night it cost them, one business $5,000, they said to me that they had lost. Another business said $2,000. Another business said how many customers didn't come in.
And when that officer came down here, and I go, it affects my business when you guys do the checkpoint here, and you guys don't come and eat here, or the tow truck guys, and he said, oh, well, I'll send some, the officers to come here, but so far no. So this is how we support our family. It's a business family.
A group of people in the community and organizations who cared about the issue came together. 10 organizations at the beginning, and was named Pomona Habla.
We're an organization. We are not funded by anyone. We have, no paid staff. We just have, a large group of people that are all willing to put in, 3 hours a month, 10 hours a month. Some people put in more.
We came together to protest the checkpoints. We continue to do it, and we're getting a lot of support from the community.
Basically, we have people from all different types of, religious and political backgrounds, people that are fairly conservative, people that are businessmen, all the way to, young students.
The only way you bring about change is by organizing and by asserting your right.
The community is basically now asking tough questions and holding the police department accountable.
It's been a couple of 2 years that are being hard, but it's wonderful to see how the community really comes together and work to impact a policy that is affecting them negatively.
The one thing that we all have in common is that we do care about this community. We recognize that the community is persecuted, and we all will do something about it.
We had a march against the city. We went to the city council with a petition.
The main thing is that we're there, all the, like present when these checkpoints are happening.
We've also gotten the police department to stop doing checkpoints in front of schools, churches.
When we pointed out that 95% of the checkpoints were in the Latino areas of town, now that they're starting to spread them out more throughout the city.
So we go to the city council meetings and we argue about the change of policy. That is, if it's really about drunk driving, that is not the best way to carry out that policy.
We noticed that the checkpoint operations did not comply with the law, because there is case law from the U.S. Supreme Court and the California Supreme Court giving guidelines on how the checkpoints should be conducted.
We started by showing up when we know that there's a retén, there's a checkpoint happening. We have a rapid response network. So we called on the phone, and then people come out and we put up the signs.
Policemen would come up to us and tell us that we didn't have a right to protest. And very respectfully, but very firmly, we continued to come out and do the protest.
They even told us that you can't have a sign, you can't carry a sign on the sidewalk because there's a city ordinance. I looked up the city ordinances, and I discovered that all the sign ordinances only applied to signs which are affixed to a building or a telephone post or a car or something, but there's no sign ordinances applying to people carrying a sign on the sidewalk. That's pretty much protected by the U.S. Supreme Court.
Well, right on. There's nothing more American than exercising your right to free speech.
Where'd that one come from?
This is his.
Oh, he littered?
Yeah, he just littered, but it's not littering if you throw it down and say you're going to come back.
Oh, do you have your ID on you?
I don't, sir.
You don't?
Sir,
I don't have to show you anything. I don't have to show you anything, sir.
Well, if you do, if I'm the police, then I'm telling you I need to see your ID.
Why do you got to see my ID?
So I can write you a citation.
Why do you want to write us?
So anyway, we called in some other attorneys from Los Angeles, civil rights attorneys, pretty heavyweight civil rights attorneys from the National Lawyers Guild. They heard about this. They came down, and after that, the police have not told us that we can't carry signs. They're not going to try to stop us from getting out in front of the checkpoint and warning people about a checkpoint. That dramatically reducing your phone calls.
We've seen a real change in the mood of the city as a result of the type of work that Pomona Habla is doing.
We've had community meetings where we as a community, we had one that we was very prominent on August 21st, that we had over 100 people, and the police came and infiltrated that meeting and started to yell and scream.
Association members right now standing strong. It takes one body. You cannot do it by yourself. You support unlicensed driving and you killed the girl this weekend. You can't do it for Go tell her mother that you killed her. Yourself. You killed her. Do it. You're a killer.
Are you Sergeant? Sergeant O'Malley?
I don't know. Am I?
Maybe I think you are. I think you're the one. Are you the one that wrote the grant for the traffic?
Obviously, I'm pro freaking licenses, right? Can't you tell?
But you're a police department, right?
I don't have to tell you anything. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not.
So like about 15 to 20 police officers who were off duty, most of them we believe were off duty, showed up, and when the people started to speak at the opportunity which was allowed, they stood in line to speak, and when the officers saw them speaking, they would in unison shout them down so they couldn't be heard.
I mean, they're supposed to be there to protect, to serve and protect. And in this particular day, and in the way in which they conduct themselves, often with the community, is that they're basically there to harass.
We need to change the situation because it's either me today, you tomorrow. You never know. So it's just when you get to City Hall, the reaction of the policeman, you can hear them giggle, laugh, and you're like, okay, we're serious here. We're trying to make a change for their community, and you guys are seriously laughing at us.
And we asked them to leave several times. We tried to give them an opportunity to speak and wait in line to speak, but they didn't want to do that. They got really aggressive, and a lot of people just got scared and left.
I was very inspired by the fact that over 40 people came forward and joined the lawsuit against the Pomona Police Department and the city of Pomona because of what happened on that day.
So we filed the claims. The city denied that, so now we have filed a complaint in the federal court in Los Angeles.
Of course, it was in their interest to not allow us to continue to organize. But intimidation is not going to stop us.
I do have hope in Pomona Habla that we will make a change. We just have to keep voicing ourselves.
Dar una licencia de manejar y también con la injusticia que comete la ciudad de Pomona al poner tantos retenes que no han dado.
¿Cuándo? ¿Qué queremos?
Justicia.